breaking, Giuliani calls for Comey to be prosecuted for leaking classified information, by Christina Layla for thegatewaypundit.com. Trump attorney and former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani joined Sean Hannity Wednesday to discuss the Trump presidency and the Mueller witch hunt. Giuliani called for Comey to be prosecuted and to end the Mueller investigation. Rudy Giuliani called Comey a disgraceful liar, then stated the fired FBI director should be prosecuted for leaking classified information. Giuliani also called for the Mueller witch hunt to end in the interest of justice, Fox News reported. In a wide-ranging interview, Giuliani called for former FBI Director James Comey to be prosecuted for leaking classified information, at one point calling him a disgraceful liar. "I have never ever leaked a damn thing," said Giuliani, referring to his time as a U.S. attorney. "I would have considered resigning if I ever did that." President of Judicial Watch Tom Fitton reacted to Giuliani's call to shut down Mueller's witch hunt. Tom Fitton finally, on Sean Hannity, Donald Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani calls on Justice Department to shut down Mueller's special counsel operation. Shut it down. Love Tom Fitton.
All right, joining us now for an exclusive interview. He's the former mayor of New York City. He is the current president, attorney for the president. President Trump. Rudy Giuliani is with us. All right.
Nice to be back, Sean.
Good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
It's been a while.
We've been through a lot together. I was here when you were mayor, of course, and the city is still benefiting from your.
Thank you so much. That's so kind.
Just why don't we start a simple? Give us the status of the special counsel and what's going on with the president.
Well, the special counsel would like to interview the president. There's no secret about that. Every lawyer in America thinks he shouldn't be. We, meaning myself and Jay Sekulow and the Raskins and all the people involved in the investigation, and now our new colleague, Emmett, we're going to have to decide, probably it falls more on us because he's on the government side, whether the president should grant an interview. Now, here's what it's all about. It's real simple. And American people can follow this along with me. Are they objective?
Are they?
Well, right now, a lot of things point in the direction of they made up their mind that Comey's telling the truth and not the president. When you look at those questions about what does the president think, what does the president feel, what does the president really desire, those are all questions intended to trap him in some way in contradicting what is, in fact, a very, very solid explanation of what happened. He fired Comey because Comey would not, among other things, say that he wasn't a target of the investigation. He's entitled to that. Hillary Clinton got that, and he couldn't get that. So he fired him, and he said, "I'm free of this guy." And he went on Lester Holt. Lester Holt's interview was as good as anybody could do, better than I think any of the people around Mueller could have done. And Lester Holt asked him, "Why'd you do it?" He said, "I did it because I felt that I had to explain to the American people their president was not the target of the investigation." And even Jake Tapper pushed him like really hard. I'm talking about Comey. Comey had no answer for why he didn't say this, even though he had done the same thing for Hillary. So you can't blame the president for feeling, I am not being treated the same way they were. I mean, I don't expect that we're going to have an interview with the exonerating report already written, like we had.
Oh, I have a lot of questions for you.
I can't. I would like to get one not under oath. I'd want it videotaped, and I'm not videotaped, but audio tapes. I want to make sure they don't misrepresent his answers. But this is an outrageous miscarriage of justice. Please consider, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you hate President Trump or you love him like we do, or like I do. Please,
I think people know I'm pretty supportive. I think the secret's out of the bag.
Okay. I want to let you off the hook, Sean.
Oh, full disclosure now, everything. Rudy Giuliani and I once had a meal together. Okay, go ahead.
I don't remember who paid. Yeah. So you can't possibly not feel, as a citizen of the world, that his negotiations with North Korea are much more significant than this totally garbage investigation.
Let me ask you first about the legal team.
Good.
Ty Cobb, John Dowd, they're out. My understanding is Ty Cobb had been saying for some time he was going to retire. What happened?
Ty has been enormously helpful. He certainly helped me with my orientation. We wouldn't be where we are today, which is in a very strong position, if it wasn't for him and John. John has been my friend and colleague for 35 years. I have nothing but the utmost respect for John Dowd. He had the right instincts about this, which is, you're going to get him to testify over my dead body because you're trying to trap him. He had those instincts way back when it was harder to see those. So all that work didn't go for nothing. We got it all. Jay has been the rock. He's been Jay Sekulow. He's been through this. I couldn't do it without Jay. And I think what I offer to this is something unique. I'm a lawyer who knows the criminal justice system as well as anybody in America. I'm also a very good friend of Donald Trump. And I think I have the respect of Mueller, the FBI, the Justice Department.
You should.
Jeff Sessions was my colleague, not just in the campaign, but back in 1981 when he was U.S. Attorney in Alabama. I don't think I'm going to, they know the decision I make is going to be in the best interest, not just of my client, but the United States. If they're objective, we can work something out. If they're not, then we have to shake hands and basically go into a litigation over, do they have the power to subpoena? And I think they lost that power. This is a completely tainted investigation.
Explain.
Well, you have an investigation in which Mueller is selected the day after he's turned down for FBI director by Rosenstein, who was there when Mueller was turned down. There are thousands of people that could have been selected for that job. Also a friend of James Comey, and James Comey seems to be their core of their investigation. He's telling the truth, the president isn't. I know James Comey, I know the president. Sorry, Jim, you're a liar, a disgraceful liar. Every FBI agent in America has his head down because of you. It would have been good for God if God had kept you out of being head of the FBI.
Explain where he lied.
Well, he lied about his conversation with McCabe. He knew all of McCabe's conflicts. McCabe should testify against him. He lied about his conversations with the president. He only told the truth when the president said, we know Donald. I'm sorry, Mr. President. He was Donald before. He lied about the fact that they talked about whether the president was a subject or a target. Then he immediately changed it. It's one lie after another.
Rod Rosenstein, everybody forgets when he wrote that recommendation to fire Comey. He said that the FBI cannot be reestablished if he stayed at the helm.
Yeah, why? Because he's a liar. His conduct of the Hillary Clinton investigation was a total disgrace. If Hillary Clinton had been elected president, he wouldn't have lasted past day one. We know she would have fired him. I don't think she'd even deny that today. She was right. We should have fired him. And when I say we, I mean the collective we here, day one.
Let's talk about...
Now, let me say one other thing.
Yes, sir.
This is our best president in my memory. In 2 years, even my hero, Ronald Reagan, he straightened the economy out the way President Trump did. But he didn't get this far ahead on foreign policy as fast as President Trump has. Look at what's going on with North Korea. I've told the president you're going to get the Nobel Peace Prize, and then my proudest moment is when you tell him to shove it. Sorry.
By the way, no, this is cable. We're good here. You said about let's talk about the leak questions. I mean, I have them here in front of me. I mean, what's in your thoughts? What did you think about Comey? What did you think about Sessions?
Comey should be prosecuted for leaking confidential FBI information when he leaked his report intended to develop a special prosecutor for the President of the United States. I have never, ever turned over a you know me, Sean. You knew me when I was U.S. Attorney. A lot of allegations.
The mob.
Never leaked a damn thing. I would have considered resigning if I ever did that. Or if one of my assistants did it. Did the FBI leak? Did the SEC leak? I'm sorry, guys, you did.
Let me ask you this. There's so many lawyers that I respect, that you know and respect. Alan Dershowitz, Joe DeGeneres. These are heavy hitters. Our own Greg Jarrett. And so many.
All my friends.
The president should never spend a minute. You said it would be narrow in focus today, and you said no more than 2 or 3 hours. Do you believe Robert Mueller is setting a perjury trap for Donald Trump?
Well, I have to remain, and Jay and our team has to remain open-minded about this, because even though you might not see a clear avenue to quickly resolving this for the American people, we may, and we know that our president will seek a resolution that gets him a clear path to getting it resolved. So I would say, right now, the odds are he wouldn't be interviewed. But I don't close my mind to it.
When we're talking about, because this is really important, because they're talking about a subpoena. And the subpoena, that means that the president of the United States, I always said that they should have the Hillary standard. And the Hillary standard is really simple. Not under oath, not, well, wait a minute. And you have a guy that hates Hillary and loves Donald Trump during the interview. Mm-hmm. That would be the Hillary standard.
Right.
Well, that's not going to happen with Robert Mueller.
We're not going to get that. Could we accept something less than that? Yes. Could we accept a situation in which they're telling us, basically, we believe Comey, who is now a pathological liar, as opposed to Donald Trump? Then the answer to that is no.
Mm-hmm. All right. I have been probably the most outspoken, loudest critic in the country, besides the president, about Robert Mueller and a team of Democratic donors. No Republicans. People say, well, he's a Republican and he's a veteran. Okay, I applaud him for serving his country. I mean that. Andrew Weissman, tens of thousands of people lost their job, Mr. Mayor, at Enron. Tens of thousands. A 9-0 decision against Andrew Weissman. Who gets 9-0? 4 Merrill executives in jail for a year, overturned by Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and he was excoriated twice for withholding exculpatory evidence. That appointment alone, sir, tells me that this is a biased team.
Let me give you 2 different views of Bob. What do I know of Bob that I could testify to under oath? A patriot, an extraordinarily good man.
Served his country.
That's where I differ.
Did a good job with the FBI. I don't think he would be affected by malice or prejudice. However, I don't have an explanation for the people that he hired. Not all of them. I've dealt with them very briefly. I think they're very professional.
Weissman?
I didn't deal with Weissman much. Quarles, very good man.
You disturbed by his record?
Yeah, but he'd probably be disturbed by mine too. So I have an open mind about Bob. I don't about Comey. I've closed my mind about Comey. I know Comey much better. I have the indignity, fortunately, of having hired him for his first big job, and I'm embarrassed that I hired him.
Let me go to a tweet of the president. This isn't and he tweeted John Dowd, this isn't some game. You're screwing with the work of the president of the United States of America. John Dowd, 2018. North Korea, China, the Middle East, so much more. Well, there is not much time to be thinking about this, especially since there's no Russia collusion. Mr. Mayor, it's been going on. How many congressional investigations? This has been going on now almost a full year. There's no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. How did we end up from there to Stormy Daniels?
Because this is, I think this is being done behind Mueller's back, in a sense, because they come to him with all kinds of...
He doesn't read a newspaper?
Yeah, self-serving statements. This has become a witch hunt, like the president said. And if you look at those questions that are being asked, they're trap questions. A first-year prosecutor would do better than that. So he's in very good hands now. I don't just mean me. I mean Jay and the whole team. And Ty gets a great deal of credit for all this because he orchestrated it. I'm looking forward to working with Emmett, who handled the Clinton
very
situation.
Well-respected attorney.
And then Bush. So this is not a political guy.
You said if they're objective, meaning Mueller and his team, more likely will be willing to cooperate. The less objective, then we would be foolish to do that, you said. You also said there'll be a decision in just a couple of weeks.
Well, I can't imagine it's going to take much longer. It's coming to a head right now, and there's not much more to think about. If they can get us in a position where we can recommend to the president President Trump.
Of course.
You know he wants to be interviewed, right?
Mm-hmm. I do.
If he doesn't, it's going to be because Jay and I and
others say no,
and the Raskins, and we would stand up there and say, "Look, we're lawyers. You got to listen to it, Mr. President."
Mr.
And
Mayor.
I think I'm there because I'm his friend.
Well, I think your background as an attorney all the years and mayor, the president, agree with the president's statement, and I have been very open in saying this, that this is a setup, that this is a subpoena, this is a perjury trap, and let's walk through what if they issue a subpoena. What if they they decide not to talk, they send him before a grand jury, because it becomes tricky, as Alan Dershowitz has described on this show. If the president pleads the fifth, which he doesn't want to do, he said he doesn't want to do, then they give him immunity, then what?
Okay, so let's look at that. And I think Alan kind of pointed this out a bit last night on your show, but not in detail. If they issue a subpoena, that will be unprecedented in the sense that it's pretty clear that a president can't be subpoenaed to a criminal proceeding about him. Now, why is that? And fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, we have the real life circumstance going on that the founding fathers thought about, which is a president cannot be distracted by a criminal investigation. You can always prosecute him after. They can get him when he leaves the White House. You could always prosecute him after. But I could not, if Mueller said to me tomorrow, bring him in 2 hours like you want, no questions that you don't want, and we're pretty much ready to clear him. I could not go to the President of the United States and say, take 2 days off to get ready for that and screw the whole thing with North Korea. How can any American do that? He's our president. He is going to negotiate, I believe, a non-nuclear situation on the Korean Peninsula.
Nobody thought about it. Here, all right.
And you're going to interfere with that? That's why the founding fathers created this immunity from prosecution and subpoena. Now, if it's a civil case, Clinton submitted, because it was a civil case.
Why not written answers to a proffer?
Which Ronald Reagan did.
Why not that?
Because they said no to that. They said no to that. And
so they want to then, so the president says no to the interview, then they're going to what?
At this point, I'm not sure I'd give them written answers because they're going to try to contradict them. I believe that Attorney General Sessions, my good friend, and Rosenstein, who I don't know, I believe they should, in the interest of justice, end this investigation. There's been too much government misconduct. The crimes now have all been committed by the government and their agents. The lies by Comey.
I'm going to go through this in a minute. Let me ask you this.
Come on. It's terrible.
What are the parameters that you would insist on for any interview with Mueller beyond 2 to 3 hours, narrowing the scope?
Never beyond 2 or 3 hours.
Oh,
not going to happen. I'm not going to have my client, my president, my friend, and a president who's achieved more in a year and a half against all odds than anyone had a right to expect. I'm not going to let him be treated worse than Bill Clinton, who definitely was a liar under oath. I'm not going to let him be, he's being treated much worse than Hillary Clinton, who had no right to any of that stuff. So I'm not going to let him be treated worse than Hillary Clinton. I think Jay and I will insist that they're going to have to treat him the same way as Clinton, 2.5 hours, we end, we walk out. Give us your questions in advance.
I disagree.
He's ready to.
I know him. I've interviewed him. I've known him for many years before he ran.
And if we weren't careful lawyers, we just let him go. I mean, he's about the most. I remember the debates that I prepared him for, in part, with Chris Christie.
I bet that was
Kellyanne Conway.
There's a real story behind that, I bet.
Oh, wow. But did he execute?
He did.
Whoa, I saw you after every debate.
He did.
And he got better and better.
I totally disagree with Giuliani. I think Joe DiGenova has it down packed. That go ahead and try it. We're not buying it. Why would you ever consider sitting down with Mueller? I mean, I disagree. Giuliani had said this would end in 2 weeks. I question the fact is how it will end in 2 weeks. You know? I mean, this is disgraceful. Why should Trump have to answer any kind of question from them, from Mueller? No, I totally disagree with Giuliani, and I'm very skeptical because he was praising Mueller. So that basically tells me everything. Deep state in action. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.